All right, what's happening, guys? It's been a while. We still here, 2018. I hope all y'all are doing well, hitting your fitness goals and all that stuff. But today we're going to talk about what the pros don't tell you, right? So if you've been at this fitness thing for a while and you haven't lost any weight or you haven't gained any muscle or something, my first thing I would say is diet and nutrition. I know everybody is different, so I know that doesn't apply to everybody. But I'm gonna go through some things, did some research over the holidays and stuff like that. So now we're back. Also, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Make sure y'all do the right thing, right? All right, so here we go, right? Get my little notepads, right? So I don't fuck up. All right, here we go. All right, diet strategies, right? If you're not drinking water, you're already fucking up right there, right? So your body, when you're training, creates a lot of acid, like lactic acid. We all know this, right? And then your blood maintains the pH level of your body, so on and so forth, right? So going from that, water and nutrition, all right? So now we're gonna get into fat loss, right? So if you wanna gain muscle, right, you have to have a caloric excess, right? Meaning that if you're a 200-pound person, just saying, right? If you're a 200-pound person, you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, and basically you know you're eating 2,000 calories a day, but you're not gaining or losing, then that is your maintenance calories, right? So 2,000 calories is what is enough for you to maintain so you don't gain or lose, right? So a caloric asset would be, caloric excess would be from 2,000 to 3,500. So now you're taking in 1,500 more calories than you were before. So now you're gonna start to gain weight. All right. So once you start to gain weight, what type of weight gain is it? Are you eating Snickers, Reese's, all that bad shit, or are you eating cleaner versions of bad food? Right. So like you have oatmeal, right? But then you can go fiber oatmeal, this oatmeal, that oatmeal, more protein in your oatmeal, so on and so forth. It's a million versions, right? You just got to find out what works for you, right? So then when you're working out, your body releases something called cortisol, right? So what cortisol is basically it releases while you're working out, but it is very detrimental to you building muscle. So that's why they have some things out there called cord block and so on and so forth. But you don't need to get into all of that if you're just starting to work out. The main thing is that you want to eat on time, find a good eating training plan, and basically stick to that and give it 3 or 4 weeks, because a lot of people, they want the overnight success, but it doesn't work like that, right? Then you got to think about if you're doing, if you want to lose weight, then you need to be in a caloric deficit, right? So a caloric deficit is you take that same 200-pound man and basically he's eating 2,000 calories. So say for instance, this 200-pound man eating 2,000 calories a day is not losing weight. So he needs to be in a caloric deficit, meaning that he needs to eat 1,900 calories or 1,800 calories or 1,700 calories, anything less than 2,000, because now it's less energy, so his body still is going to operate the same way, which is going to cause him to lose, if that makes sense, right? If y'all don't understand what I'm, like how I'm explaining it, just leave your comments in the below and I'll personally get back with you, okay? All right, so now we're going to thyroids, right? So thyroids release hormones, and the main hormone in men is the T4, right? So basically these hormones act throughout the body and they influence metabolism and development, right? So when you hear people, hey, I'm doing all the things that's right and I'm not losing weight and so on and so forth, take a look at your thyroid. I'm not saying that is the issue, but for some people that is the issue, right? I'm just putting stuff out here that the pros don't tell you, right? Of course, in your pre-workouts and stuff, you got beta alanine. Basically, beta alanine helps buffer the lactic acid buildup. It doesn't. A lot of people think it blocks the lactic acid buildup. It doesn't. It just gives you a higher tolerance to perform at that level while you're training, right? So that's why a lot of pre-workouts and amino acids and all that shit have beta alanine, because that's what beta alanine does, right? Other than that, let's go to the next one, right? Got a fuck ton of notes. All right, so also when you're training, say for instance, let's talk about chest training, right? So when you do chest training, the angle of the bar, the angle of your chest, the position of your hands, the position of your feet, all that stuff matters. So when you lay on the bench, and I did a video of this maybe a couple months ago, but when you're on the bench, you don't want your hands too wide, you don't want your hands too close, right? You want them about right here, something like that. So it's a natural pressure movement, right? And then when you go to press, you just contract your chest, just squeeze your chest in, right? So any exercise that y'all are doing that you're trying to target biceps, you're trying to target chest, you're trying to target abs, you're trying to target back. If you're doing any of these exercises and you're not getting the results, or you're not feeling a burn, as some people say, right? Check the weight. The weight may be too light. Check your technique. Your technique may be off, and work on muscle contraction. So what that means is when you see bodybuilders on YouTube and all this other type of stuff, even me, right? And sometimes I'm lifting like a 20-pound dumbbell like this, right? Nothing is wrong with that. You just want to keep your range of motion natural. You don't want to get stiff and all that, because it's not about how much weight you can move. It's about how much weight you can move naturally. You know what I mean? So if a person is trying to squat and they look unnatural, like they're about to hurt themselves, then you want to lower the weight and then correct those deficiencies. Because what's going to happen is that if you have bad or poor technique in the beginning of your lift, or when you're first starting out to lift, and you lift for, say for instance, you're at 20, right? And you're just getting into lifting, right? And you are learning everything right, but some of your technique and stuff is off for certain lifts, like for instance, squat or deadlift, so on and so forth. And you go to deadlift and you're looking at the ground, your back is rounded, and you're trying to pull. So now you're pulling from your back instead of pulling with your legs, and now you're gonna injure yourself. And then they're gonna say deadlifts are stupid and all this other type of stuff. But no one cares about technique, and everybody wonders why they can't get big or they can't lose weight or this, that. So stay away from them fads. Technique, your weight, proper training, water. These are all the simple things you need to basically gain or lose weight, right? Those are the basics. I'm not saying that this is the Bible to that, but these are things that are detrimental to your success as far as getting bigger or losing weight. Me personally, I lost 60 pounds, right? I just changed up my diet, the way I lived, so on and so forth, right? And just make sure you eat, and just make sure you eat and do the right thing as far as training. Because if you try to cut corners in lifting, the minute you cut a corner and you get injured, you're gonna be out longer than if you would have just did it the right way, because you still have muscle memory, if that makes sense. So say for instance, if you're a person with bad technique, you're deadlifting 400 pounds with bad technique, that's terrible, because 405 pounds, you could break something or tear something, right? So your muscles are already strong enough for 400 pounds. By you changing your technique, yeah, for a couple weeks, you're gonna seem weaker, but those muscles that you already developed are gonna help assist those weaker ones when you do correct your technique, right? So I hope this basically answers any of your questions. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them below. Make sure you subscribe to the damn channel too. I ain't doing this shit for myself. I already know this shit. I'm trying to let y'all in on what the damn pros ain't telling y'all, right? So besides that, have a Valentine's Day. Y'all be safe and pray for everybody in Florida.